Welcome to FortitudeRx Radio. I want to ask you a question. What is the number one reason people cite not being fit, not taking care of themselves, or reaching their goals? It's, I don't have enough time. So today, we're going to be talking about how to manage your time, reset your priorities in a realistic way, and get the most out of your time spent working on yourself so that you can make the best progress you can possibly make in the time you do have.
Buckle up and get ready to smash your health and fitness goals. This is FortitudeRx Radio, bringing you engaging conversations that inspire you to take action and take control. Physical and mental resilience, strength, nutrition, rehab, mindset, and more. We've got the prescription. This is FortitudeRx Radio. Here are your hosts, Tyler Campbell and Les Kais.
So I think it's important to start out by saying it's not necessarily that people don't have enough time, it's that they just don't make enough time. You will make enough time for anything that you find in your life to be a priority, and if you do not find fitness or your health or your strength or whatever it may be to be your priority at the time, you're not going to make that time. But by simply just restructuring the way you think and the way you say it from I don't have enough time to I need to make this time, you can go ahead and set yourself up for success right from the start.
Yeah, and I think making time is something that's like everyone has the same amount of hours in a day. So we're not saying you literally have to create time out of nowhere. We're saying we have to use the time that we have in a productive way or see how we're using time in a way that's not useful to us. Of course, there should be some time for relaxing. That's part of actually what we're going to talk about is you time, and recovery time is a big part of that. But there's also the idea that you're listening to this as someone who is a parent, single parent, whatever it may be, who works 40 to 60 hours a week, and you don't need some guy on a podcast or personal trainer or kid in college telling you that you just need to want it harder. So it's not about you wanting it, even though that's a big chunk of what motivates you. It's about setting your priorities in a way that makes your life more structured around the things that you actually want to accomplish. So while priorities are key, it doesn't change the fact that feeding your family is still the number one priority regardless.
Yeah, and I actually work with a lot of people that they do have like crazy lives or crazy work schedule. But one thing that'll absolutely drive me insane is when I'll have somebody that they do work long days and I am coaching them on strength or whatever it may be. And they'll ask, say, hey, how can I like add a little bit in to start losing some weight? And I'll just tell them, okay, just add in maybe a 20-minute walk per day. And they come back to me and they say, well, I don't have the time to do that. Well, most likely you do have the time. You just don't want to sacrifice 20 minutes of sitting on the couch at the end of the day or something like that. So if it is a priority, you can make that time happen, but you're just kind of demonizing yourself and setting yourself up for failure if you're always like, oh no, I just don't have the time, and you have this negative outlook on it and you're not willing to have some wiggle room with some of the other things going on in your day-to-day to actually achieve these things. So you have to ask yourself, am I just kind of complaining about this? Or do I actually want to make some sort of change and shift in my perspective that'll allow me to get these goals?
Yeah, on a normal scale of a normal life where you're working 40 hours a week and things like that, and say you have kids or you don't, but you have someone else that's relying on you for something, whether it's a spouse or whomever, you do have other responsibilities. I think that there's a misconception of how much time people spend on fitness in general. So for me, I spend 2 hours at the gym 4 days a week. 2 hours is honestly excessive for that. You could be there for 1 hour, 4 days a week if you wanted to and get similar progress. So it's not that when someone says to someone who is like a model or whatever that, oh, I don't have time to work out all day, it's not my job to work out. It's like, that's not what they do either. People that are really fit don't think about it in the way that you are probably thinking about it. Of course, it may literally be their job to earn money that way, but they're not spending 10 hours a day in the gym. They're probably spending a max of 2 hours in the gym, like maybe 4 to 5 days a week, and you have to recover from that. So I think there's a restructuring of how you view fitness in general that has to change too, let alone just your time anyway spent doing things that are not productive, both in a relaxing way and also a challenging yourself way.
Yeah, and I've had plenty of athletes that back when I was personal training, I would typically train them for an hour to an hour and a half. But there were plenty of times where they would come to me and they'd say, hey, I only have 20 minutes. I only have 30 minutes today. Can we still get something done? Every single time I was absolutely yes. And 100% of the time they would leave that 20 or 30 minute session and say, wow, that was actually more challenging and more fun than some of those hour and a half long workouts. So even if you only have like 20 or 30 minutes a day to do something, you can still be super productive with that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it may just be that you're doing more conditioning work, or that the work you're doing ends up being more conditioning for you, and that's never really a bad thing. It just may not be that you get to the certain heights of strength and things like that. But again, if that's not your priority, then you wouldn't need to do that anyway. So it kind of just depends on what you view as important and how you, what levels of fitness or strength or whatever it may be, what levels you want to actually reach in those things. So with those 20-minute workouts, Les, like what sort of stuff would you change other than obviously the rest periods, but like what would a workout look like for someone who wants to do something in, say, 20 or 30 minutes?
So we were still able to keep some level of lifting in there, but like you said, we would have to adjust like the rest periods, things like that. But instead of like coming to the gym and starting out with this like long 30-minute warm up, slow talking stretch routine, it's going to be you get in the gym. I would have somebody hop on a bike for maybe 2 or 3 minutes and just slightly get their heart rate up and just have them move around a little bit. After that 2 or 3 minutes on the bike, then we're going to go ahead and move into some kind of like compound movement of some sorts to lift a little bit of weight. Probably going to be higher reps with short rest, or I might even do some supersets. That's a super effective way that you can have a workout be quick and effective, is just combine two exercises, rotate back and forth between them, have them be like an opposing muscle group. So maybe you do bicep curls with your tricep extensions, bang out 3 sets of AMRAPs there. You feel your arms fill up with blood. All right, cool. Now I move on to the next thing. And you just set up like 5 or 6 different exercises like that with these superset themes or short rest themes. And then at the very end, have some sort of cardio finisher or muscular finisher that like really leaves you kind of feeling smoked, but also revitalized. So you feel like, oh, I got challenged today. I feel my heart rate got elevated. I feel like super full of blood, feel like super athletic. And I think that's a real big key to these like short, quick workouts is you don't want to leave any of these workouts feeling absolutely just trashed. You want to be able to like feel good and feel energized and carry you on through the rest of your day and carry you into that next workout feeling excited to do it.
Right. And I think that if we're talking about something like powerlifters that want to get to the absolute strength levels, highest they can get, it's a different idea that yes, you'll have to spend more time doing your main lift and have more rest periods and things like that. But the vast majority of people that are looking to just get fit don't need that huge amount of rest. They don't need a huge increase in weight over the course of, however many months. But you need to get strong to a certain level, and we need to set your goals based on that. Your time spent in the gym can be highly variable depending on what you actually want to achieve and what you have available in both hours in a single day and days in a week. So if you have 7 days where you can work out, but it's only 30 minutes a day, that still gets you 3.5 hours worth of working out per week. That would be the same thing as doing it within, 3 or 4 days. It just kind of depends on how you want to structure it, and if you know how to do essentially what is known as density training, where you pump as much efficient work in a short amount of time as you can and then get out. So it doesn't have to be a big thing to go to the gym. You can just go for a bit, knock it all out, and get out. Like Les mentioned, doing a long warm up and things like that is important for performance sake for lifting max loads. But if it's not possible that day, then just do something else. That's what coaching is for, to sort of adjust as you go and figure out exactly what you can do in the day and keep yourself moving forward and also feeling good.
Yeah, and I even have a lot of workouts through the week where it's just like a 20 or 30-minute workout for me as well. Just to like move around a little bit, get a little bit of intensity in. But I think that there is that common misconception of like, if I go to the gym, I have to be there for 2 hours. You really don't. Like, you really can just get in there and get out, get some work done. I like to structure some workouts in like a WOD fashion, like CrossFit stuff, but a little bit more like centralized on that body part. So most CrossFit workouts or things that are styled that way are going to be like 15 to 30 minutes tops. And you're just kind of constantly moving throughout that 15 to 30 minutes. Well, what if you set up 4 or 5 upper body movements and put them all in some sort of time scheme that you just rotate through them for 20 minutes? You're going to leave feeling pretty pumped up if you do it that way. And you got 4 or 5 different things done in just like a 20-minute time span.
Yeah, and I think people probably think it's difficult because sometimes there's a social element of being at a gym, things like that. But part of it is that you have to just go to the gym to work. If you have minimal time, you just have to change how you view that sort of space. And most people aren't there for making friends and stuff like that. But a lot of people do sort of waste a lot of time there as well. And so just think about it as I'm here to do work for a short amount of time and get out.
Hmm.
Like viewing fitness as this whole thing, if you don't care about it very much, becomes an issue because you need to view it as reaching your goals via a system of progress as opposed to making it your whole life. And we've talked about this before plenty, but we don't want to make it your life. We want to have it supplement your life in a positive way. So it should always make you feel better and never worse, other than maybe being a little sore, but you'll obviously adapt to that over time as well.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I do want to go into sort of breaking down the hours in a day. And I know you've seen this sort of stuff before from whoever for financial advice too. I think there's a kind of a funny one for millennials where it's like the government telling you how to live on very low income. And they're like, pay rent for $600 a month and don't spend any money on heating or whatever. And it's kind of funny. So we're trying to avoid that idea. But I want to have a sort of realistic average day of someone and what it'll look like. So obviously 24 hours in a day, say you sleep 7 hours because most people are not getting their 8 hours of sleep. Say you then work 10 hours. And by working 10 hours, I mean you have 8 hours plus an hour break, plus say a 30-minute commute each way. So that adds up to 10 hours. Then you have 1 hour for breakfast and dinner. And then you have, say, 3 hours of family time and obligations. So that might be taking your kids to school. It may be spending time with them at night or going to their sports events, whatever it may be. I think that's pretty generous when it comes to a rolling schedule of 7 days, because you may not have to do the exact same things every single day, but it gives you a big chunk of 21 hours a week to spend time with family and do stuff like that. So that may be Netflix and all that sort of stuff too. But after that, we've run out of time other than the U time, and that U time is 3 hours that's remaining. And so again, on a 3 hour, or excuse me, on a 7 day rolling schedule, which doesn't even account for the fact that you wouldn't work on weekends, most likely, you have 21 hours of time per week in the scenario that you could dedicate to improving your health, fitness, body composition, strength, mobility, mental wellness, all this great stuff that's going to help you out, whatever you want. And going to the gym really only requires like 4 to 6 hours a week of that 21 hours. So even if I'm being unrealistic with the amount of time you have, we're still leaving like 17 hours on the table for you to do whatever else you want during the week. So you have to just view these things as prioritizing this time. And if you're spending those extra 3 hours a day just scrolling on your phone or watching Netflix, something like that, which we all do. Don't get me wrong. I can find myself accidentally scrolling on my phone for an hour and be like, well, that was useless. You're going to feel worse after that too, just to say that. But at the end of the day, it's about choosing what you're going to do with your time and making it important to you in the way that is productive. So I want you to understand that your attention is what Instagram, Facebook, Netflix, etc., all want from you. They obviously want your money, but your attention is the most important part of receiving that money. And they've done an incredible job of making that very easy to steal from you. You may not be seeing it outright, but they have decided your priorities for you. And I think it's time for you to take back your freedom to set your own priorities and standards for how you're going to live and what you're going to do with your life.
All of those other things he listed, the time with your kids, your job, all of those things are going to feel better. You'll feel more productive if you are giving yourself some time to work on yourself. If you're just sacrificing yourself all the time, I would actually argue that sacrificing yourself and your own well-being is actually the most selfish thing that you can do. And the reason I say that is because I've had a lot of athletes that have come to me and said, oh, well, I'm going to have a kid soon, or my kid's growing up, or all of these different things. So I'm going to stop lifting, or I'm going to stop taking care of myself as much, and I'm going to sacrifice myself for these other people, right? Well, what ends up happening though is the people that you're sacrificing for just view you sacrificing yourself and going downhill. They don't see you working towards goals. They don't see you working on yourself and actually achieving things. So all you're doing is teaching other people that the best thing to do is to just sacrifice yourself. So you don't necessarily help anybody by doing that.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to the sacrifice in general idea that people view fitness as a sacrifice as opposed to not doing it. So part of helping yourself and part of wellness and making sure that you're good is fitness. So when you're not being fit, when you're not focusing on your own health, you're sacrificing the thing that's actually more important, which is your health and how other people are going to learn from you, how you're going to provide to the world whatever you can provide. And being fit and healthy allows you to do that for longer, essentially. So whether what you provide to the world is your love for your kids or something that is more impactful to a lot of people through your job or through your charitable, whatever it may be, it all relies on you being around for longer in a way that is productive and allows you to keep doing it, basically. So when you're not fit, when you can't move, when you're always hurting, things start coming internally to you to not give more of yourself out in a non-sacrifice sort of way.
Yeah, so I used to sacrifice a lot of my time for other people, and I just felt like that was my like due diligence as a coach. Like, oh, I don't get to work out as much, and I don't get to work on myself, and I don't eat the meals that I want other people to eat because I'm putting all of my time and energy into them. And really, my productivity actually went down a lot. And once I was able to take a step back and really reflect on it, and started taking care of myself, my business got better, my relationship with my significant other got better, all of these other things got better because now I feel better. I feel more alive. I would say it's the difference between thriving and surviving. If you just are spending that 3 hours extra a day just scrolling on your phone, your energy levels are going to go down. You're not going to really feel like doing as much, and you're going to feel like drained all the time. But once you kind of take control of it and you say like, no, like I'm going to be selfish. This 1 hour a day is for me. Nobody can take this away from me. It's just a non-negotiable. Now, like my training, it is a non-negotiable. It is a part of my day. I don't sacrifice my training to do all of these other things. I know for a fact that that is something that I have to get done for that day for my mental and physical health. And if I take care of that, I now can put a lot more energy and a lot more focus and a lot more good energy at that into the tasks that I need to have done. I don't feel reluctant to be productive because I have good energy. I feel good about myself. So if you can learn to be selfish and just give yourself a little bit of time, it's not only going to just help you be more productive, help you feel better, but it is also going to impact other people indirectly. When other people see you doing those things, it then also makes them want to do those things.
Yeah, so I think you bring up two really good points here. One is the non-negotiable idea. I think that if you're receiving coaching from someone, or even not, if you're just setting up something for yourself to learn how to perfect your time usage, you have to set up your non-negotiables first. So you have to have your actual number one priorities. And if you say you go out each weekend for a date night or whatever with your wife or husband, a non-negotiable for you would be that you need to be able to do that and it not affect your diet in some way. So you should be able to go and enjoy that and not think about your fitness because your coach or your programming has been set up in a way that allows you to go do that without worrying about it so much. And you can be there fully and therefore feel better about yourself and not feel so guilty about going out and having a drink or two or having a big meal, something along those lines. So like Les said, the non-negotiables part of this should just be part of how you structure things. And that's just part of the prioritization in general anyway. The other idea here, though, is that like you have to be able to set up boundaries for yourself in your life. So the other people that are maybe taking things away from you that are not the priorities specifically, maybe creeping into your boundaries that you would have otherwise set if you weren't aware of them. So if you have time blocked off for yourself specifically, and you don't set up boundaries for yourself to only work on you, that's always going to bleed in and it's always going to get smaller and smaller, that amount of time that you're going to work on yourself until it just goes away. So that's a big thing you need to understand and prioritize, is making sure that you have realistic boundaries for other people and yourself and how you're going to act during that time so that you get the most out of it. And that's when that time can be as small as you need it to be, as long as you actually fill that time with work.
Yeah, and I used to have the issue of when I did train at a gym where I coached a lot of people, I would make an attempt to work out, but then other people were berating me with questions or, hey, can you watch this set? Can you watch that set? And it pretty much ended up resulting in me not really training for an extended period of time because I allowed other people to bleed into that priority. Once I really put a nail in the coffin and said, no, like this is my time. I have this 1 hour of this day. don't bother me during this time, and I will give you all of my effort and attention when I am done with this, my productivity went up. So instead of getting like a watered down product from me when I'm kind of half focusing on myself, kind of half focusing on you, I'm probably going to miss a few things here and there. Once I went from that, of this like half effort of half working out, half coaching, to this 1 hour I'm putting 100% into me, and then the other 23 hours I can put 100% into other people. It was selfish of me to take that 1 hour a day, but it also wasn't selfish because now everything else I do is more productive.
So one thing that I think that reminds me of is the idea that people are often thinking that structure and setting up a schedule for yourself takes away their freedom to do whatever they want, when in reality, as an actual adult, structure is what gives you freedom to do what you actually want to do later on. If you structure your days so that you have specific time in your day for yourself, that means you're actually going to have that freedom to do the stuff that you need to do. Otherwise, it'll stop being a priority and you'll lose the freedom of having time to work on yourself. Having the structure in your life is an important part of this concept. And so I would just start thinking about structuring things and scheduling things in so that you can actually prioritize yourself as an aside to this. So if you need help figuring out how to structure your time, of course, we offer coaching remotely. And who we work with are powerlifters for one, for strength athletes, to make them as strong as possible while keeping them healthy. We also work with a general population of people that are what I would consider high performers, people that are highly motivated in other areas of their lives, but are struggling a little bit with getting the confidence back, getting the strength, getting into the gym and moving in a way that's realistic for them. What we offer through our systems is accountability, support for questions and struggles. We're there for you. We know what you're going through, and we want to make it as easy as possible for you. We offer a community of people looking to improve themselves as well. We offer tools and resources to maximize your time efficiency, a fluid system that changes with your life, and communication with us and your coaches that actually know what they're doing, both from a scientific perspective and an interpersonal perspective. So if you want to join us, check out the information in the show notes or visit FortitudeRx.com, and we will catch you next time.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Fortitude RX Radio. You're officially one step closer to conquering your goals and living your best life. For more info or to connect with your host, check out FortitudeRx.com. We'll see you next time.